thousands of non-resident Indians settled in UK, Canada, America and elsewhere in the world are fighting for millions of pounds worth of ancestral property and land in India. In recent years, land prices have spiraled across South Asia, and many families are returning to cash in on their inheritance. Money is not always the motivation to hold land or property in India. Many NRIs hold land and property in India for sentimental value and also to give a reason to the next generation to visit India and have connection with their ancestral roots. Often, when NRIs return, they are greeted by relatives and officials disputing their rights, resulting in lengthy, expensive legal battles. NRIs have been at the receiving end when it comes to property disputes, many of these involving land grabbers and family members back on home turf. Noreen Khan, a seasoned broadcaster, spoke to Nidhi Singh, a lawyer and founder of NRI Legal Services, to find out about issues faced by NRIs when it comes to property disputes in India. Nidhi has been successfully helping NRIs from across the world for last 17 years with their property matter.
Nidhi, how are you?
Very well, Noreen. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Nidhi, wow, so there are more than like 30 million civilian cases we hear pending in Indian court. Now, how do you manage to help the NRIs with these legal cases and how do they cope with the legal system?
30 millions is just a number, Noreen, and in a country like India, yes, we are plagued by a legal system which has a lot of backlog of cases. Well, for me, I choose the cases very judiciously, number one, and most of the problems that NRI face is because of the long distance communication. And we have over the years now, Noreen, tried to minimize that impact and have set up a system in which the communication is constant with all our clients. And this constant communication, choosing your cases wisely, and absolute sincerity and hard work towards our cases kind of gets us by. But timelines are a challenge, will always be a challenge. But those who know India and those who know the legal system need to also know that they have to have patience. It is frustrating and it cannot be compared, but then that is what the truth is. And we try and do as much as we can by making sure that from our side there is no delay, and that we make sure by making timely submissions to the court and also try to basically minimize the damage to the extent that whatever we need from the client, we get it in a timely manner so that the submissions can be done. The court procedures, no one can really help, and the opposite side, the weaker side, always tries to delay. Those delay tactics are always there, but at least 50% of the time can be controlled, and we try to effectively do that.
I mean, how do the legal systems differ from India compared to the UK, Canada, America? I can imagine it's very different.
It's different in a lot of ways, as India is different from the West. Timelines is one thing. Regulations are the other. I mean, it's law is a very regulated profession in the West. It is not so regulated, and that is actually, Noreen, the biggest reason for all these delays happening. The lawyers are not that accountable. That is one of the biggest problems that we all ail from in India. However, it is also a fact that we all understand that we cannot compare it with the West. There is absolutely no reason to compare. And the frustration, and I tell every client of mine, Noreen, before they start a matter, that if you do not have the patience, if you do not have the understanding, which we try to give them all the time by telling them what it entails and what the legal system entails, but if you do not have it, and if you're going to constantly compare it with the West, then don't do it. Then don't get into it, because it's a different ball game. And so many people sometimes blame lawyers, or I mean, I always tell them that you can always make out, you can always guess if your lawyer is aggressive, is he fighting sincerely, is he representing correctly. Other than that, a lawyer can only do so much.
I can imagine it must be very difficult managing their expectations, because they're used to one system and then they go over to India and it's completely different, it's taking a lot longer, and then you're trying to mediate and
Yes.
get things kind of all worked out for them, which must be very difficult.
Noreen, we have a very different approach. Basically, we empathize a lot with our clients and their situation. So I understand that there will be this, constant comparison with the West. We do understand that. We do try and tell them how things are. But in this long history of 17 years and I dealing with exclusive NRI clients and our teams dealing with them, we do understand that once the case starts to progress and things starts to unfold and they see the sincerity, they see communication, they see updates happening, they do settle down. And they do understand that there is absolutely no point, and of course you have to match up to their expectations by giving them regular updates, by keeping them in the loop, by answering their inquiries, and sometimes it gets really frustrating, and sometimes they have repeated inquiries. Lack of trust, that is the biggest challenge that we face, because for them, these are people, Noreen, who have been betrayed by their own. They haven't been betrayed by India or the legal system.
It's their own family, isn't it?
It's their family. So these are guys who are scarred. These are the people who are hurt. So, and some of them have in fact gone through some lawyers and they've had bad experiences. So when they come to us, we understand the whole baggage that they carry. Our only plea to them is that have a little patience, see how we work, how it all unfolds, and more or less, I would say, and going by the track record that we have, I'm more than happy to say that mostly all of them do understand and start to fall in place and start to, in fact, appreciate us for what we're doing.
Nidhi, I've got to ask, what made you set up NRI Legal Services? I mean, did you just find that there were so many cases that were just not being resolved and you thought, okay, I need to do something to help this situation?
Yeah, Noreen, about 10 years ago I would have a very different answer, but today I have a very different answer. So 10 years ago the answer was that I just went to the courts and I did not want to be just like any other lawyer. There were millions of them. And I also realized that being a woman and being a lawyer in India, unless you have a very strong legal background, which I did not, I was the only lawyer and I am the only lawyer in the family, I realized that it wasn't very easy to kind of survive. And then this was an amazing area where I thought people really, really need these services because so many of them were suffering. So, but that was my answer 10 years ago. Today, Noreen, I was destined to do it. It's absolute, purely inspired work. I was meant to be here. I did law after marriage, and I was just supposed to be doing this and no other work. And that's how this company probably was set up, and I was the person who was to deliver services to hapless and helpless thousands who probably would have lost their properties, and I'm trying to still reach out to, we're still constantly, like this interview and so many other methods, trying to constantly reach out to people to come forward with their inquiries, come forward with what their problems are, and we try to alleviate them as much as we can. But it's absolute destiny. I had to do this. This was my karma and this is my work, and I'm very happy about it.
Many non-resident Indians place their relative in charge of farming land and properties in India. However, many of them make shocking discoveries about ownership of land when they try to sell their land or property. Sometimes the land and property is fraudulently sold or ownership transferred. It's a complex tale of lies, deception and betrayal.
Now Nidhi, many relatives over in India accuse NRIs sometimes of returning to get the land only because of the property price boom. So I can imagine this causes a lot of tension in families. People then get accused of greed. So you're dealing with many issues here, not just trying to establish who the land and the inheritance actually belongs to, but you're then dealing with people's emotions and, you know, family fallouts.
Noreen, I deal with emotions when I'm dealing with the client, but I deal with law when I'm in the courts.
Right, okay.
The emotional side is all very well, and there are many factors. Greed is a very obvious factor. From their perspective, and I've come to know a lot of the other perspective, like the locals there in India, they have all sorts of reasons to give for what they do and what they've done, like usurp people from their properties, grab them, or illegally transfer them or sell them, and then they kind of make up excuses to say this is what happened and that is what happened. Both sides, I only focus on one thing, and that gets me by. Does this person have a legal right? If he has a legal right, still alive, still existing, and can be represented in the court, and he can reclaim his properties, that's all that matters to me.
Okay.
A lot of this, what happened, is the emotional side, which all lawyers deal with, and I deal with it too, and I don't mind dealing with it because they have to come and unload and unburden themselves to us, and I'm more than happy to listen to them. But at the end of the day, it's the legal right, whoever has it. Another thing, Noreen, is very important to know that right to property is a constitutional right. It's very difficult to deprive someone or to devolve someone of his inheritance or his property rights in India. This premise of law is so strong. That is what, as a lawyer, we focus on, and not what happened. So if our client cannot be helped, he has given away his rights, he has cut away his rights, his power of attorney has been misused or whatever, we tell them we can't help you. But if he can be helped, we do. So the factors are irrelevant. The point of law is what is relevant.
Okay, let's talk about the many cases then where married NRI daughters, they try to claim their rights in the property owned by their father. So does a married daughter actually have any rights on her father's property in India?
Yes, and that's a very good question, Noreen, and I would like to actually demystify this because we get a lot of inquiries. So daughters, so let's get it in the right perspective. Daughters always had a right. In the Hindu undivided family, what used to happen was that the married daughters who left the undivided family setup and left it to go to some to their married homes were not included in that. In 2005, complete and conclusive judgments have come on this, and it's now a settled law that married daughters also have an equal right in the properties of their fathers, whether they are married or not. It does not affect that at all. So an unmarried daughter would always have it. The married daughters now also have it since the year 2005. It's a conclusive, complete and absolutely enforceable right. All women have right in their parents' properties.
And also there are many cases where the land is inherited by several parties.
Yes.
So how do you manage to solve the disputes in this scenario where there's no actual kind of clear written inheritance?
Noreen, there's absolutely very well established laws. A jointly owned property is of course the bed of disputes, as you rightly said, but there is a very, very methodical and a very, very clear way to approach this, and I have time and again told people this, that they need to wake up. There is something called partition, division. Each person can actually go to the court and stand in the court and ask for his separate possession and separate right in a property. He is not disputing others at all. When this is a myth that people have, that when they will ask for their right, in the property, it will mean that they are actually trying to now create a dispute. No, on the contrary, they resolve a dispute in the long run, and they can actually go to the court, actually feel, ask the court to divide the property as per the law, and the division is mandatory. The court is obligated to partition or divide a property, and all the separate shares, they are then carved out as according to the rules, and each person is given his share. And if let's say there's a house and there are several owners to that house, and that house cannot be partitioned for reasons like it's a small property and then individual shares cannot come out, then the court orders its sale and the proceeds of the sale are then divided. So yes, you can object to it, but you cannot legally keep anybody from partitioning your property. So in fact, the earlier one does that, the better it is. So partition is the solution for that.
In many property dispute cases, there is also a sinister element emerging: organised gangs and relatives using violence against NRIs.
So if anyone watching who's an NRI is thinking of engaging in illegal disputes, how safe is it for them?
Law is safe. I mean, when you say how safe it is for them, if they're going strictly per the law. Now here is actually, there are so many cases where people have tried not to pursue the right way to deal with it, and have gone through, you know how Indians are, and how in fact people from the East are, that they believe in their relatives and friends, and they believe in the alternative system. Like they'll say, oh, we can actually take back control like this, we can send some men and can take control back. Those are the things that I would strongly recommend people never to go that route, because that is where essentially the problem is, that when you're not pursuing the right way, you're not going as per the legal system, you are actually making things backfire on you. And a lot of people have gotten involved with the police cases slapped on them. People have gotten arrested, their passports have been confiscated because they've gotten into disputes and physical involvement to try to get back their properties. But that's not the solution, Noreen. The solution is that you have to do it in the right way, making yourself completely safe and not being directly involved and letting your legal representatives deal for you.
The reason why I asked that question is because I can imagine there are many cases, and it's not unusual for both parties to accuse the other side of intimidation, threats.
Right.
So what's the correct course of action to be taken, for example, when organised gangs get involved?
Noreen, I in fact, because our company and I myself deal with only overseas Indians, as you know, and non-resident Indians, I have always stood by a premise that I do not, even if there is a criminal liability invoked by the other side, I always tell them not to file a criminal case, for a very simple reason, that a person sitting here will not be able to go and represent himself in a criminal suit, because that's what you have to do once you file a criminal suit against someone. There are both civil and criminal remedies, and I strongly advocate that when a person is in dispute over property or land grabbing or any such issues, then the remedy that he needs to stick to is the civil remedy and not the criminal remedy. He definitely does not have to put himself in that kind of danger.
Now, if somebody's thinking, I don't really want to travel to India, I'm not sure because of safety and security issues, can your firm actually help them?
Yes, in fact, one of the services that we offer, Noreen, is that a person does not have to travel. These are all civil cases, and mostly we do not actually let our clients travel except once or twice, and that too we make a representation to the court that a person is traveling, his matter should be heard. The courts are very sensitive to this these days. They do take up applications when they're filed prior in time, when a person is visiting. All that is arranged, the person is called, his evidence is recorded in the court, and he is sent back. But throughout the pendency of the case, otherwise, a person does not have to travel at all.
Recently, for over 600 NRIs, realty dreams turned sour. They had invested in swanky realty project in the state of Haryana, India. NRIs are struggling to get their property several years after investment in the Spy Edge commercial project that was launched in 2008. The funds for the project have been siphoned off to various companies controlled by builders.
Why is it, Nidhi, that we're seeing an increase in number of claims against builders in India? I mean, can Indian builders, some would ask, be fully trusted? Because there's a lot of cases against them.
Noreen, real estate is actually in a sorry state in India. So these builders actually were not absolutely prepared, I would say, in the way the Indian system is. There were a lot of them who got into genuine trouble because they bought land, and land's always a reason for discord, and their lands on which they were supposed to build these properties got into trouble, or they did not get their loan sanctioned, or they did not probably got into a lot of these issues where they could not complete their properties on time. And it was this reason that these real estate builders actually faltered on their promises that they made, and now there are so many of them, people who are filing counterclaims, which is very sad, Noreen. I personally feel very bad. In fact,
so you're seeing a lot of this?
Hundreds of cases our firm is handling now, and it is sad. I, as an Indian, am not proud of it, because these are genuine people who are wanting to invest in their country. They want to go back. There is a sentimentality. They want to invest for their parents, or some want to invest for their children, and they've all been shortchanged. And but my word as a lawyer to them is absolutely do not worry. There are two things that have happened and are still happening. The first is that there is consumer courts, consumer commission, there's a national consumer commission, and then there are states consumer commission now set up all over India to address these issues of people who've been given deficiency in services. Applications can be filed with these courts. They are not the normal courts, they are very fast track, and not only are they fast track, the remedial measures are that we have even been able to recover not just the main amount, but also we have been able to recover a lot of interests, penalties, damages, and litigation costs for these people who have invested. And in fact, you'd be surprised to know that a lot of people whom we have given these claims back to said that they wouldn't have been able to maybe get those kind of returns had they parked their money in India. Nevertheless, that's the side. The real story is that yes, there are problems, and there were problems. Legally, they are safe. Their money is safe, as I've just told you, consumer courts. More so, the future is even brighter. There is a full-fledged real estate regulation bill which is just about to be enforced. It's already passed in the both houses of parliament, where before a builder actually opens the project, he will have to go through various compliance checks. So the government is actually setting up a lot of steps, have set up a lot of steps where the builders have to tick mark all of those before they actually open their project. So this is called the Real Estate Regulation Bill. It's absolutely in the wings, and it's just going to be launched. Once this bill is launched, I mean, retrospectively, people can go to consumer courts, get their claims. But the future, if you ask me, looks quite bright, because I feel that with the launching of this bill, they are safe to quite an extent, and India will attract a lot of investment once again from a lot of these people who have been wanting to invest in India.
Many Punjabis in the UK and Canada inherit their ancestral lands. However, sometimes they don't have any documentation, nor they exactly know where is the land. In such cases, many tend to lose their right on the property. These numbers are growing, and NRIs are lost in the legal mire of Indian land record system.
Okay, now Nidhi, let's talk some about the Punjabis, because as you know, there's many here in the UK and in Canada
Yes,
who inherit their ancestral lands, but sometimes they don't have any paperwork to show for this. So how does one go about, you know, trying to reclaim their inheritance if they don't actually have any paperwork?
Noreen, this is one of the biggest problems that we faced when we started this company. And people would tell us of their problem, and then they didn't have anything, and then how were we supposed to file those cases or those claims? So we set up a separate cell. I actually realized that you know, if I were to ever help them, it can never be done, because they would say then, okay, when we come next, which is like a year later, then we would come and probably give you the paperwork. So for that, now what we've done is we have a separate cell, which is the document specialist team. This team now actually obtains all the documents, values the property, understands what the person has, the area, the size, and then file the claim. So we basically are now trying to do out of court work also for these clients, because they don't have any paperwork. And on that note, I really want to say that these people should always understand that if at all they want to keep properties in India, they need to be absolutely bang on with all the paperwork. So this is what I want to say to all of you who are listening to me, that just like you have your documents in the West, wherever you are, whether it's America or Canada or Australia or UK, just like you have your title deeds, make sure you have your title deeds for the properties in India. And more so, as we know, we are going through a very aggressive and a very disruptive and yet a brand new phase in India, where the government is making everything accountable. Our Prime Minister is mincing no words. The country is actually at a stage which is very, very worrying for everyone, because you don't know. So on that note, I really want to tell everybody that make sure there's no longer India mein sab chalta hai is going to be there. You need to be very careful with your title deeds. Your properties need to be in your name, get them transferred, keep them close to your heart, make sure nothing goes wrong, because no longer I think it's going to be acceptable for people to carry on keeping ancestral properties in their grandfather's name, in their father's name. That's really not good. And India is really going through a lot of change, a lot of positive change, I hope, but that's how the situation is. So that's my clear advice to all of you.
NRI Legal Services Network has some of the best legal minds working with them across India. NRI Legal Services now has 400 plus lawyers across India.
So Nidhi, we've spoken about the cases in Punjab, but you don't just deal with that area, you have many in Gujarat and all over India. So how does your firm deal with the different legal systems, different districts? Because I can imagine they all have their own systems and laws in place.
Very, very right, Noreen. We kind of grew into a firm which now is representing clients all over India. It's not as if we planned an area and then went, no. Our aim was to help all overseas citizens, and slowly, wherever a client was, we went in and we set up our bases there. And in the 17 years, we are now pretty much everywhere. Gujarat and Punjab, obviously NRI belts, Mostly people are from these two areas, so we have a very, very strong hold there. Likewise, Mumbai, Delhi, South, Kerala, a lot of this thing. In spite of the fact that I do belong to the north, you would be really surprised to know that we have more Gujarati clients than even Punjabi clients. The reason is very simple. We are a professional organization. It's got nothing to do with a particular place. The laws are federal, central, number one. Land disputes, Noreen, are pretty much the same. The law on the land disputes is pretty much the same. Our teams have a very, very good approach, sincere approach. We are very accountable, and wherever the client needs us or needed us, we spread our wings. We did have some areas where we are still not representing our clients fully, because those areas are a nightmare where law is concerned. As you can very well imagine, you're from Pakistan, and I'm from India, and we all know that there are certain belts in our countries where probably the law and order is not that good. So other than those areas, we are pretty much everywhere, and wherever a client needs us, and if we can help them, we go there. So we have our own panelists based there. We have complete representation that we offer in those areas, and it's absolutely not a problem. I invite any non-resident Indian, any overseas Indian from any part of India where we are based and where we can help, we would love to help.
Okay, so Nidhi, we've spoken lots about your work. Let's talk a little bit about you now, because you've been working, as a lawyer and with NRIs for many, many years. What keeps you motivated?
Absolute gratification that our clients show us, the appreciation. More than Noreen, the clients, I know how much they need me. They don't know. Most of them don't understand how bad the system is and how desperately they actually need a sincere lawyer to represent them. They have no idea, they have no clue how bad the system sometimes is. So what keeps me going is the reason. In fact, I have lately, Noreen, become a health freak of sorts, and a lot of people feel that, why are you like this, why have you become like this? I cannot, there are so many people actually depending on us for their work, and there are very few professionals, legal professionals, who are so steadfast, so loyal, so sincere to their work, and have the reach to reach out to them and deliver these services to them from India, in the country they belong to. It's absolutely an impossible task that our team is doing, and it's very important for me to stay fit, stay strong. It's a very, very challenging work, very challenging. There is absolutely no way I can explain you how hard our teams really work.
I can imagine.
Really hard, and India is a very, very tough terrain, Noreen, very challenging. I haven't reinvented the legal system. I mean, it looks very glitzy that, oh, I work in the West, but India is back home the same. It's not glitzy. It's the same sweaty courtrooms. It's the same judges. It's the same court legal system. The slow, the laid back approach of the people there that we are dealing with. But to our clients, we do not even let them get a wind of it. We in fact protect them, guide them, and this is something that keeps me really going. In fact, I have no plans for retirement, and I was
going to ask you actually, what do you aim to achieve in the future?
Oh yeah, actually there's no achievement that I want that I haven't gotten already, which is that as far as our clients are concerned, or the client base is concerned, they run in thousands. So it's not as if I have a need to keep getting more clients, but aim to be, yes, I want to be working till the last day of my life. And because when I'm at work, actually, Noreen, I'm never at work, and this is not cliched. I totally feel like that. I love my work to the extent that I live breathe, sleep, and I'm totally devoted to my profession, and I find it a blessing of God of where He's put me in a position where I can help people without any other motivation but to actually get them the right legal help that they so truly deserve. Number one. Number two, I'm a very, very proud Indian. I mean, very proud Indian, and I've heard too many people criticizing my country. I cannot change their outlook or their experience, but even if I can do a speck to improve the image of my country, that's my motivation.
So do you have hope for an even better India in future?
Of course, I'm a born optimist. I'm a born optimist. I always look at the right side, even being a lawyer. And lawyers are very rarely optimists, but I'm just one of those crazy ones. I believe that yes, and I feel that every situation is governed by your own self. And if you are looking at positivity, you will get positivity, you will attract positivity. And also, India has absolutely a great future. With all the handicaps that we've had, we've still come so far. And now, maybe with the governance of our current Prime Minister, who's absolutely such a strong man, he has started something. I have a great hope in our country, and I feel whatever it is, I need to do my 2 bit to make sure that the image of my country doesn't go down.
Now Nidhi, I know you've dealt with so many different cases. Is there one that particularly stands out or that was really memorable for you?
Noreen, okay, there are actually so many. Well, okay, you know, it's very funny how you remember your first few cases, right? No matter hundreds and hundreds that you've gone through over the years. Okay, there was this guy, he was from the US, and he contacted me when we were very small. Okay. And a very, very personal case to my heart. This guy believed in me just through our email communication, and I did not have the large army and the support that I have today, as in my teams. That time I used to be doing most of the work, and I was very young, and I understood his problem, and I gave him an email, and that was the time when emails and all just started. And because of my email communication, he hired me and gave me a lot of money, which I wasn't expecting. And he just wrote to me saying that my dad's dying, he's got cancer, and the only wish that he has is to die in his own house in Punjab, in Jalandhar. And my only reason for engaging you is this: I don't know you, but can you help? And I took his case, and his house was occupied by a bank. And Noreen, there was no one living in the house, but I went to the bankers myself. I talked to the top banker. I told them the whole story. You will not believe this, what the banker tells me. He was a very sweet guy. He says, Nidhi, I totally believe in your story. I told them, I said, sir, you don't even need the house. Give it to him. We're already in a court case. This can go on for years. Why do you need this? He says that even if I want to vacate, I cannot vacate because people are going to say that you've taken money to vacate. Even the government organization or the nationalized banks, banker is telling me this, that I want to help you, but I can't help you because my neck will be in the news that how could you vacate the house without proper permissions, because have you done a deal with these people? So I went on with this case, and it took time, and it took every ounce of effort, and I really worked hard on it. And then one fine day I get an order, but the moment I got this order, the bank announced as well that they are not fighting anymore, that they are giving us the keys. I was absolutely ecstatic, and when I gave him a call, I said, you know what, just get your father on the next flight, the house is empty.
Fantastic.
So this kind of cases is what gets me through, and there are so many such stories that I have. Maybe someday I'll write a book on that, but these people whom we are helping are my reason to say that my work is not work. These are the stories that actually keep me going in this very, very tough and challenging world. A lot of people probably do not feel like trusting immediately. I have no problems. I understand that they have reasons when they have been victimized by their own people. How can they trust me? But we have a proven track record now. I did not have it back then, but now we have a proven track record. We have hundreds and hundreds of people who have written to us. It's all transparent. It's all on the website. I would invite people to come and meet me, come and get help. So many times, Noreen, I know I'm just continuing because I think I can't stop talking about this, but there's so many times our teams say that, ma'am, you sometimes, why do you really go so much for a case? And is it just for a case? It's not, Noreen. Sometimes I want people to come to me not because I want their cases, because I want to help them and I know how seriously they want help. And it doesn't matter. I have no ego. I have no one-upmanship. I know they don't understand that they need me. I do. I reach out to them. And I'm reaching out to all those who need me, those who need any legal help, any consultation. They're most welcome to come and meet me. They can write on our website, they'll get a response, and they can contact us.
If you are facing challenges with property law in India, NRI Legal Services can always provide you with free initial legal consultation. Get in touch with them today at www.nrilegalservices.com.